Become a channel member and support the channel today. More information on the Join tab.
This is easily GCC's best replica helmet they have ever made. The quality feels identical to Lego. It fits on the head perfectly. It doesn't have weird height fitment issues like the replica P2 helmets. It's got a nice shiny finish on it just like the Lego ones. If you handed this to me and didn't say anything about it being GCC, I would just assume this was an official Lego part. And yeah, the figure for a first figure is pretty simplistic. He's just a regular grunt. But the amount of doors that this helmet has just opened up for GCC is immeasurable, and I cannot wait to see what they do with this mold in the future.
That was 7 months ago. 7 months since February since we've last seen this helmet mold. But it's back. Earlier this year, GCC released a replica mold for the Lego Clone Trooper Airborne helmet, and I went on record as to saying it was my favorite replica helmet they had ever made. I still stand behind this fact, and I think today it still is. The quality feels identical to Lego, and unlike some of their other replica helmets, there are no imperfections with this one. There are no height or fitment issues like the replica P2 helmet, and heads don't get stuck in there like they do with the replica ARC Trooper helmet. They rolled out the replica Airborne Grunt, which was just a regular Airborne Trooper with no identifying markings back in February of this year. And of course, GCC makes their best replica helmet they had ever made, and then did nothing with it for most of the year. But they have just returned back in August with 2 new additions to this lineup, including some future ones to arrive later this year. Right in front of me, I have the 501st and 327th version of the Airborne Trooper, and these are fantastic additions to that lineup, this 501st one being my favorite of the two. They are exceptionally looking figures with all the appropriate markings to make them blend in really well with their appropriate factions. They also both come with different colored waist capes, so you can pick and choose which one you feel suits the trooper better. As you can tell, I'm really happy to see this helmet return, and I'm happy to see what else they roll out later this year. Speaking of replica helmets though, GCC has redesigned the regular Phase 2 replica helmet, and I have 2 figures right here that have that. They did this for 2 reasons. One, the original replica helmet that they rolled out last year did have some problems. It had this weird matte finish that Lego helmets don't have, and they sat on the Lego head a little weird. The way the helmet was molded made it sit on a Lego head a lot lower than an official one does, and I was never a fan of this and have mentioned it a bunch in the past. Both the 2 figures in front of me, this Stone Trooper and of course Captain Fordo, who I'll get to in a second, have this new addition. Fans have nitpicked and complained about a minor issue on this helmet though, with the ear cups not being as pronounced as they are on an official or even past replica helmets. Now honestly, this is not a big deal for me. I don't really nitpick with small things like that, and I didn't even notice it until it was pointed out, but GCC has said they will fix this on future versions of the version 2 replica helmet. Moving on to the 2 figures I just mentioned with that helmet, this Stone Trooper is a really interesting choice. I think it's kind of funny is as weirdly sparing as GCC can be with doing printed heads that for some reason this figure got a printed head. But the figure itself is something a little different and extremely versatile for whatever you want it to be. It could be a made-up Clone Trooper Legion, or mock builders could use it as a Clone Trooper statue. So cool addition to the lineup that I'm all for. But the one I'm more excited about here is Captain Fordo. This is Fordo in his Phase 2 appearance, as we saw for a couple of seconds in the Clone Wars 2003 animated show.
Sector 4 needs reinforcements. We are being overrun. Repeat, we are...
And he's a really cool character to have in Lego, and God, I hope we get a Phase 1 version of Fordo one day by one custom manufacturer. That being said, this Phase 2 one is really nice to have. He includes a pauldron GCC has rolled out on a couple of their figures, and 2 different versions of his helmet. One is a more realistic take on what his helmet would look like if he was in, say, the Clone Wars animated show or Episode 3, and the other is an exact replica of how his helmet looked in that 2003 cartoon. I think this was a great addition, and honestly, I like the look of this one way more than the realistic style. I think it makes the character look more unique and stands out among other clone troopers. The last clone trooper I have here is, well, he's an interesting one. I'm assuming to coincide with the blue shock troopers GCC released earlier this year, we have a blue Commander Fox. He's no different than their earlier Commander Fox, minus the fact that he has an official hold helmet when the older version did not have that. And, well, he's blue.
What is wrong with you? Why are you blue?
I'll be honest, this figure really doesn't do much for me, but I think it's a cool alternative take on this character, and really cool for those of you that liked those blue shock troopers. And I suppose with the Coruscant Guard being basically the GAR's police force, I suppose this does kind of work. But I also think this is an example of GCC really stretching the use of the Phase 2 helmet. They've done just about every character imaginable, and now they're just digging into whatever. I would really prefer to see them use their resources to maybe expand into using that Imperial Stormtrooper mold they made last year, or branching out into Phase 1 stuff. But yeah, here you go. Blue Commander Fox. I do have two non-Clone Trooper items to share with you today before I go. One is two versions of Padme in the dress she wears for a brief moment in Attack of the Clones. They're very well designed and detailed figures, and you can get them in either green or black. I honestly don't remember which color the canonical color is, but you have the option here. And this last figure is a partnership between GCC and reseller Tyne, and they went ahead and did a Clone Wars version of the Senate Guards. This is a LEGO interpretation of how they're depicted in the Clone Wars, wearing the same helmets they wear with their robes, except with blue Clone Trooper armor. I'm a huge fan of this helmet that GCC made in-house, and I think it pairs really nicely with this body. There are two versions of this figure you can get, one with the LEGO Senate Guard helmet, and the other with the GCC one. I've linked his Instagram account down below, so you can go grab one of these for yourself. And of course, at the end of the video here, I'd love to take this opportunity to plug some light custom figures, including my own. This Saturday, the 14th, Tom the Builder is rolling out the entire Light Customs wave, which includes both Melnick's Thrawn 3-pack, which I've talked about on this channel before, and of course, my pad version of the Endor Rex figure I released last year. I am over the moon with how well this figure came out in pad, and I'm happy for so many of you to finally get it in your hands. So make sure you all head over to Tom's site this Saturday for a chance to own the first HTR pad printed figure. I haven't been able to put it down since I was sent it a few weeks ago, and I am just so excited for some of you to finally get it in your hands. We're approaching the tail end of this year, and things with the custom world still look very strong. GCC and Light Customs still produced exceptional work, and there are a bunch of newcomers coming onto the scene that I'll talk about another time. Because for now, that's all I've got, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
All right, GCC, we're liking everything we've gotten so far. We've gotten just about every Phase 2 clone imaginable. Can we maybe get some Stormtroopers now? Ooh, maybe some clone commandos. Definitely some P1s. Definitely want to see some P1s. Can we maybe get some of that? Blue Fox.